Have you ever wondered if certain behaviors or policies in school might unintentionally, or even intentionally, create unfair barriers for some students based on their background? Racial discrimination in school involves any unfair treatment, denial of opportunity, or creation of a hostile environment for a student or group of students because of their race or ethnicity. It is a serious issue that affects a student's learning experience, well-being, and future opportunities. The roots of racial discrimination in educational settings can be complex, often stemming from a mix of individual biases and systemic issues. Sometimes it comes from explicit, intentional actions, but often it arises from implicit or unconscious biases that influence how educators and administrators perceive and interact with students of different races. It can also be baked into school policies or practices that, while appearing neutral on the surface, disproportionately affect students from certain racial groups, creating what is known as a disparate impact. One common example is disproportionate discipline, where students of color might receive harsher penalties for the same infractions as their white peers. Another form is academic tracking, where students are placed into lower-level classes based on racial stereotypes rather than actual ability, limiting their access to advanced coursework. A less obvious but equally damaging example involves the lack of culturally relevant curriculum, which can alienate students by ignoring their histories and experiences, making them feel invisible or undervalued in the learning environment. This often manifests through microaggressions, which are subtle, often unintentional expressions of bias that communicate hostile, derogatory, or negative messages toward a person based on their race. Imagine a teacher consistently mispronouncing a student's name after multiple corrections, or expressing surprise at a student of color excelling academically, saying something like, "You're so articulate for someone from your background." These small acts accumulate, creating a daily burden and a sense of not belonging. Another critical area is the inequitable allocation of resources, such as fewer experienced teachers or outdated materials in schools predominantly serving students of color. Understanding these examples is the first step toward recognizing and addressing racial discrimination effectively. It empowers students and their families to advocate for fair treatment and help schools foster an inclusive and equitable environment where all students can thrive and achieve their full potential.